Later today, Congress returns as we enter day 3 of the government shutdown as the administration looks at it as an opportunity to reshape the federal workforce. And joining us now to discuss is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, a key voice in the House Freedom Caucus and also candidate for Florida governor. Good morning to you, sir. Great to see you.
Good morning, Jan. It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, you as well. So what's the realistic path forward at this point? Do you see a prolonged shutdown? And what kind of talks are happening behind closed doors in the halls of Congress?
This is all going to be about what Chuck Schumer decides to do with the Democrat senators in Congress. The fact is that what the Democrats are arguing for and asking for are a return to Joe Biden level spending and Joe Biden policies. But Donald Trump is president. The United States soundly rejected the Joe Biden era and what the Congress was doing at that time under his presidency. And so we're not going to go back to that. It was crazy policies, didn't make sense. It put illegal aliens ahead of the American people. And that's not what the American people voted for last November. And we are going to follow through with Donald Trump's agenda in Washington. So this all depends on what Chuck Schumer decides to do. Does he want to stand up to the radical left and actually keep the government open or reopen it now so that the American people can get the services that they need? Or is he going to listen to the radical left and side with illegal aliens over the American people?
Exactly. Democrats want to extend Obamacare subsidies and reverse some of those Medicaid cuts that were made in the One Big Beautiful Bill, right? So Republicans, essentially you're saying Democrats want to shut down the government over free health care for illegal aliens, and that, as you said, this is outrageous, this is not starter. So what do you say to Democrats and some of the mainstream media who say that's a lie?
I say go look at the CR that they tried to push. That every deal that they're talking about is to unwind everything that we did in the president's agenda bill, the working families tax cut package. Everything that we did, they want to unwind all that. And that's just the flat out truth. They want to restore USAID funding. They want to restore funding to NPR and some of these other networks when we have Your Network, Jan, we have obviously YouTube, we have 1,000 channels all over the United States. Very different than when NPR and some of the nonprofit media was founded over 50 years ago. But they want to restore that money. So this is the difference in priorities. And so, again, I say this is up to Chuck Schumer. He's the one that shut down the government. He can get with 10 of his Democrat senators and reopen the government with the CR package that the House passed almost 3 weeks ago now. He can go back and do that. It's up to him. If there's going to be a deal, it's going to be on the basis of what the House passed a couple of weeks ago.
How do Republicans negotiate with a party that's willing to shut down the government over what you just mentioned, over, NPR funding, extending Obamacare subsidies, health care for those who came here illegally but were given parolee and asylum status under the Biden administration, and prioritizing that over getting the government running for Americans? How do you negotiate with that?
Well, first is you keep lines of communication open, and it's clear that President Trump, Leader Thune, and Speaker Johnson have continued to have dialogue with Democrats on this. But at this point, they're just not budging because they feel they have to look tough for their radical left base, a radical left base that is really out of lockstep with the mainstream of where the American people are. That's just a fact. And so the way you do it is you go back to the negotiating table, you figure out where they are today. The other thing is there's going to be pressures within the Democratic caucus in the Senate. John Fetterman and 2 other Democrat senators actually voted with Republicans to keep the government open. So what you're looking for is another 4 to 5 Democrat senators to say, all right, this is going nowhere. This doesn't make any sense. Let's get the government back open and then continue these negotiations and these conversations. I will add, when you talk about the Obamacare premium tax credits that were from the COVID era that Joe Biden put into place, one of the big problems we're seeing is that the Affordable Care Act is not affordable. Premiums have skyrocketed since it was passed 15 years ago. The things that conservatives warned about with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, have now come true. The premiums are out of control. The deductibles are out of control. It's not affordable. So what Democrats should do is they should work with Republicans to modernize and reform that system so it actually works for the American people.
What do you say to Americans and your own constituents who are feeling the direct effects of this shutdown?
The first thing I would say is just be patient. You know, we've been through these things before, and I know it's tough, but you got to be patient here. Number two, what President Trump is going to do is he's going to make sure he's prioritizing the critical services that the American people do need and they're going to need access to. But there are parts of the government which, yeah, they're not going to be in operation. But again, that's because Chuck Schumer decided he didn't want them in operation. He did not care about those critical services for the American people. He chose health care for illegal aliens.
Congressman Byron Donalds from the great state of Florida, thanks for joining us this morning here on the National News Desk. Great to see you.
Thank you.